Hello, and thank you for joining. We're just going to give it another minute or so until we begin to let everybody get settled. Just another minute. Okay, I think we're ready to get started. Thank you again for joining. My name is Ivy Morrison, and I will be serving as this evening's moderator on behalf of Alameda County for the Alameda County Community Climate Action Plan and Safety Element. And now I'd like to introduce our Spanish language interpreter, Patty Black.
Thank you, Ivy. Can you go to the next slide, please? We have Spanish interpretation available as we speak simultaneously. One moment while I give the instructions for those people that speak Spanish. Gracias por asistir a esta reunión para escuchar el idioma español, la reunión interpretada en el idioma español. Por favor, haga clic en la figura del mundito en la parte de abajo de su pantalla y seleccione Spanish o español. Si quiere solamente escuchar el español y no el inglés en un volumen más bajo, por favor seleccione Mute Original Audio o silenciar audio original. Si está usando un teléfono inteligente, por favor, en su aplicación de Zoom, haga clic en el cuadrito donde hay 3 puntos. De ahí seleccione la figura del mundito y de ahí seleccione Spanish o español. Vamos a pedirle, por favor, que se quede en el cuarto de español durante la duración de toda esta reunión. Vamos a tener un momento para compartir donde nos van a trasladar a una sala diferente. No hay nada que usted tenga que hacer. Simplemente escuche las instrucciones para saber qué cosa hacer en ese momento. I would like to remind everyone who speaks English, it doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a presenter, a participant, a panelist, a host, to please keep the pace when you speak English. Please do not speak fast, as our interpreter can only interpret at a certain speed. If you speak too fast, keep in mind that she will not be able to interpret everything that is being said. And there's going to be some text that will be missed if you do so. I would like to also remind that I have given the instructions in Spanish, but you can also, if you have somebody that is with you who only speaks Spanish, they can also follow these instructions. And when it gets to the moment to say more instructions for the breakout rooms, we will get to that point for that. And this concludes the multi-language instructions, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Patty. We're now going to go over a few basic Zoom reminders. To mute or unmute, you press, please stay on mute unless you are invited to speak. I think that's the main message. Start, stop video turns off and on your camera. Chat opens and closes the chat box, and that's the main way that you're going to be communicating this evening. You may leave questions and comments here, and we may share notifications or other instructions in the same place. Reactions opens the menu of nonverbal reactions. We ask that you use raised hand feature to notify us when you would like to be called on. But as we said, we're mostly inviting chat comments. And then click to leave the meeting while it continues for other participants. Only the host can end the meeting this evening. Next slide, please. Okay, well, allow a minute for interpretation, which is happening in another channel.
You can start interpreting, Gigi,
Okay.
please.
Let us know when you're ready.
Go ahead and continue.
Okay, thank you. So for Zoom closed caption feature, click the live transcript, click subtitle or view full transcript, and then optional, you can click subtitle settings to change the text size of the subtitles. Okay, I'm now going to introduce Ellie Abers from Alameda County to provide a land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Ivy. Good evening. My name is Allie Abers. I am a planner with the Alameda County Planning Department. And we want to take a moment to acknowledge the sacred land on which we perform activities every day, including this meeting. We offer an expression of gratitude to those who have served as stewards of the land from the beginning. We acknowledge the land, the history, and the presence of the Ohlone people whose connection to this land still exists, who still live in our communities, and to whom this land belongs. As we gather this evening, as part of our effort to bring in equity, we look back in this moment to look forward in our work, to correct the harms of the past and to preserve communities. We stand in solidarity with all Indigenous people and their right to self-determination and justice. We commit to working toward the healing of generational trauma, theft, and dispossession Native peoples have faced and continue to face. Next slide, please. So we would like to start out this meeting with a quick online poll. So to participate in this poll, you can either go to slido.com and type in the numbers 1329348, or you can use your smartphone to scan the QR code there on the screen. And then once you've accessed the poll, the polling question prompts us to go ahead and write in a short word or phrase about what climate action means to you. So we'll take some time for folks to do that. And if for any reason you are unable to access the slide, the Slido poll, you can also type your response in the chat. So we'll give a minute or two for people to give their responses. So the prompt is again, what does climate action mean to you in a sentence, a brief sentence, or a word? Okay, so we're seeing some responses coming in. You see somebody's typed equity. Climate action means equity. And we might have some responses, hydration. See, I see in the chat, I see health. It means to inform people. Doing action to counteract anthropogenic damage to Earth. Responsible guardianship of Earth and protection of resources are coming in the chat. Application of knowledge. I think maybe that one might have gotten cut off. Driving less. Responsible guardianship of Earth and protection of resources. Let's see. Okay. Future. And I see a few more participants typing, so let's give it another minute. So as participants are typing, I'm going to read over some of the ones again in the chat that we're not able to see on the screen here. Responsible guardianship of the earth, informing people, doing action to counteract anthropogenic damage to the earth, and responsible guardianship and protection of resources. Oh, awesome. I see one more participant typing. Maybe we'll wait for that one to come in and then we'll close the poll. So let's see what else is tree planting. Okay, great. I see that. So we will use a few slides throughout this, and so it's a tool that we'll be able to get familiar with over the course of this workshop. So thank you all for your participation in that first poll. You can move on to the next slide. So in recent years, unincorporated Alameda County residents have experienced firsthand the impacts of climate change, including prolonged drought and water conservation requirements, increased heat, more frequent wildfire and air quality concerns from wildfire smoke, and most recently, winter flooding and road damage associated with extreme winter rains. We've come to expect the possibility of dry season wildfires because of the combination of rising temperatures, dry weather, and heavy fuel loads in our wildlands and in the wildland-urban interface. This community climate action plan and safety element will look at strategies for reducing greenhouse gas emissions to decrease local impacts on global climate change. And importantly, these plans will also identify strategies to help unincorporated Alameda County communities adapt, respond, and be more resilient to the climate impacts that we're already experiencing. So as we enter this summer season, we encourage you all to, if you're not already signed up, to sign up for Alameda County's emergency alert and notification systems, which is called AC Alert. And John has just dropped a link in the chat there. This is a system that provides critical information quickly, either by phone or email, in a variety of emergency situations like earthquakes, fires, severe weather, unexpected road closures, missing persons events, and evacuations of buildings or neighborhoods. There's another link that John has dropped in the chat there to the Alameda County Public Health Department. Oh, my screen just went blank. There we go. Alameda County Public Health Department at acphd.org/air quality to help you prepare for wildfire smoke and other air quality concerns this summer. So next slide, please. And here I'm going to pass it to Ivy to do our next poll.
Yes, thank you, Ali. So our next Slido question: what natural hazards have you been personally affected by in the last 1 to 3 years? Choose all that apply. And I'll read off these options: extreme heat, wildfires and smoke, storms and flooding, drought, and other. And again, you can drop your response in the chat, or you can actually take the poll by typing in the numbers on the slide. Okay, I'm seeing results very quickly, or using the QR code. So I'm going to give a little bit more time to make sure that everybody has had a chance to chime in. It really looks like wildfires and smoke has been pretty universally experienced. Also storms and flooding, very widespread. Drought, also very widespread. Extreme heat, a little less so, and I can't quite see the percentage under other, but it looks like you can type in if you want to add what might be other that's not one of the options, if you want to provide your response via chat. Okay, I think we can move on. So this evening's agenda, we're going to do an introduction to the project, an update on the CCAP and safety element status. We're going to break into breakout rooms. If needed, we might have a discussion with the full group, and then we're going to talk about next steps. A little bit about our team. You can see we're all here. Hopefully we all have our cameras on and we can wave. First and foremost, as I mentioned, this project is an effort of Alameda County Community Development Agency with support from Ascent, which is leading the Climate Action Plan and Safety Element Development. Supported by us from Circle Point, we're doing public outreach. And I am now going to hand it over to Hannah from Ascent, who's going to do an introduction.
Great, thank you, Ivy. Good evening, everyone. My name is Hannah Kornfeld. I use she, her pronouns. I am with Ascent Environmental, supporting the county's effort to update the Community Climate Action Plan and Safety Element. We're going to go back for a minute to another poll. So hopefully you've kept Slido open on your screen. And our next question here is, what personal or countywide climate impacts are you most concerned about? And you can select 3. The options are public health impacts, impacts on vulnerable populations or disadvantaged communities, impacts on my personal finances and current or future job opportunities, impacts to my home, property, or business, impacts to the transportation system and my ability to get around, impacts on energy use and the electric grid, impacts to the county's ability to provide services to residents, impacts to businesses throughout the county, or other. And we know that's a lot of options. So we will give everyone a moment. We're looking for the 3 that you are most concerned about. All right, looks like we have a few participants so far. Public impacts and impacts to my home, property, or business, and impacts to the transportation system and my ability to get around are trending at 60% as the top 3 concerns among folks in this virtual space. We'll give it just another moment here. Okay, there's some folks selecting impacts on vulnerable populations and historically disadvantaged communities. And public health impacts has jumped up to 71% for respondents in this poll. Great, thank you for participating in all of these polls. I hope this is helping to spark some of the conversations we hope to have in the future during this meeting, as well as this will be helpful information for the project team moving into the development of the actual plan. Before we talk specifically about what this project entails, we just want to make sure that everyone understands the geographical area that we're planning for, which is unincorporated areas of Alameda County. This map depicts the county as a whole with a black kind of boundary around the county. The green areas are all of the unincorporated areas of the county. The cities are depicted in gray and water is in blue. So all of the cities in Alameda County are not included in this effort. However, many of them already have their own climate action plans adopted or in process. To provide a bit of an overview of this project, we are developing both a community climate action plan, which we are calling a CCAP, and a safety element update. And these documents are being updated in parallel because there is a lot of efficiencies that can be gained between doing these documents together. And there's a lot of overlap in the content of both addressing climate hazards and impacts. So the safety element will be updated specifically to include climate adaptation and resilience. And throughout this process, we have been looking to conduct extensive and diverse community engagement. And that will continue over the coming months as we get really into the strategy development of what will be proposed as part of these planning efforts. The county recently released its draft environmental justice element as part of its general plan. So this effort will also look to incorporate and align with those recently produced policies to advance environmental justice within the unincorporated areas of Alameda County. And as we think about the policies and programs for these projects, these planning efforts, we want to think about those that will do the best to enhance equity. And lastly, we are collaborating with community-based organizations like Tiburcio Vasquez Health Center, as well as various community groups and neighborhood associations. We have had one workshop so far, and I'll just provide a brief project schedule here. Some of you may have joined us for that, where we got a little bit more into detail in terms of what this project entails. And our breakout activity for the first virtual public workshop discussed climate hazards and how people in Alameda County are experiencing those and how prepared they feel for those. So we'll be using the results of that to inform some of the policies and our understanding of how prepared folks in Alameda County are for what we anticipate to be worsening climate impacts. As highlighted in this project schedule graphic, we are currently hosting the virtual public workshop number 2. There will be one additional workshop that will be held once the draft community climate action plan and safety element are publicly released, which we anticipate happening sometime this fall. So there will be several more opportunities to provide input, and we hope that after this workshop, you share all this information with your friends, with your neighbors, with your family, so that we can get as much input as possible. All right, and Ivy, I'll pass it back to you.
Thanks, Hannah. We now want to hear from you, our meeting participants. We want to hear your questions, your comments. Again, we invite you to type your questions and comments into chat.
I'm not seeing anything coming through the chat, and I'm not seeing any
No,
raised hands, but that's all
no,
right.
nor I.
All right. Well, there will certainly be more time for questions, and if you think of something after the workshop is over, we'll be providing contact information. But before we get into our focused activity for this evening, we have one more Slido question for you, which is, what are some barriers that keep you from engaging in climate action at your home or business? And in this instance, we ask that you choose all that apply. The answer options are: I'm a renter, it's too expensive, I need more information or education, I don't have time, I need support like incentives or rebates, I don't trust the technology, I have safety concerns, or other. And you're allowed to select all that apply to you. Barriers that keep you from engaging in climate action in your home or business. Right, the trending answer right now at 100% is it's too expensive, followed by I don't have time at 67%, and I need support like incentives or rebates. And that is changing as we speak, but it looks like those are the top two. It's too expensive and I need support like incentives or rebates, which I think go hand in hand.
And there's a question that came in through the chat, an observation and a question from Karen Sweet, who says that workshop participation in 1 and 2 are very low, and a high percentage of participants are staff. So she's asking, how valuable or reflective is this really? And yeah, this is an intimate gathering this evening, and I think I can tell you a little bit about some of the other outreach efforts that we're doing. So we have a number of in-person posters up at locations throughout the urban unincorporated areas. So at Castro Valley Library, San Lorenzo Library, Cherryland Community Center, the Reach Ashland Youth Center, that enable people to engage with the materials directly. So that's one way that we're gathering information. And we're going to a number of community meetings in addition to this community meeting. So doing the work to meet people where they are, and of course, very grateful when people are able to meet us here in this space too. Liz, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you covered it very well.
Yeah, thanks for sharing more information about that, Allie. It does look like we have a consensus here at 86% of folks saying that needing support like incentives or rebates is keeping them from engaging in climate action. All right, so I know this slide is titled breakout groups, but I think considering how many folks we have in the room, we're just going to keep it in one room for English participants, and Spanish participants will move into a separate breakout room. And so what we're hoping to do here this evening is to learn which climate action strategies you think are most important for unincorporated areas of Alameda County. And what we have are various climate action strategies that are proposed within seven different focus areas. And those include buildings, infrastructure, land use and mobility, waste, health and resiliency, agriculture and vegetation, and green economy. So we will be using something called consider.it during this meeting, and we encourage you to sign up for an account to be able to fully participate in this activity. By signing up, you are simply putting your name and your email address into this platform. It won't be used for any purposes to collect information from you. It's simply the only way that we can get individuals signed up for the platform. John has dropped a link to the chat in the chat to access the website. There is an option to create your account that looks like this page, where you can go ahead and click sign up. If you do not have an email address that you are comfortable using, we do know that there is a workaround here, and you can actually input a dummy email address, we'll call it, that is not real. And we have provided an example of what that can look like. Oh, whoops. So feel free to sign up in whatever way you are comfortable with. And once you are able to get into the platform, it should look like this, where it's organized under those 7 focus areas like we talked about just a moment ago. And then each of the underlined measures are listed below, and there's quite a few to consider. And so what we're asking for is to use the slider, which is that blue icon that's showing up on that, along that bar next to each of the measures, where you can slide it in terms of whether you think that should be a high or a low priority item, so that we can have a better sense of what should be some of the first actions that Alameda County should take to both reduce greenhouse gas emissions as well as adapt to a changing climate. So since we will all be staying in this breakout room, we ask that everyone try to be present to the extent that you can. Please allow just one speaker at a time. If you're somebody who tends to speak a lot, perhaps speak up, voice your thoughts, and then step back to let others engage as well. Seek to be additive and not repetitive, and listen actively, keeping an open mind to the extent that you can. And please raise your hand if you need to be added to the Spanish breakout group. Great. I think, Paul, you'll go ahead and move anyone who needs to be moved to the Spanish breakout group. And so everyone else will stay in this main room. I will stop sharing my screen for a moment, and I will reshare with the Considerate platform. And so we will give folks about 30 minutes or so to review all of the proposed strategies that are currently in the platform, and know that you're allowed to add additional items. If you see that something is clearly missing and you think that that should be a priority, feel free to go ahead and add it where you think it's most appropriate. We're here to answer any questions or help you navigate through this platform. And if you are having a difficult time providing your input, we can also do that on your behalf. And we'll point out that for each of the individual strategies proposed, in addition to giving your overall opinion in terms of low to high priority, you're also able to add pros and cons. So things that the county team or other residents or business owners might want to consider in terms of implementing that specific strategy. Does anyone have any questions on how this works? are folks able to get in? We welcome you to come on camera if you are comfortable. Feel free to react to what you're seeing. We're here to have a dialogue if folks are interested in what's really going to move the needle on climate action in Alameda County. I'm starting to see some movement on the platform in real time, which is exciting. We're happy to define any terms if there's anything that's unclear.
Maybe now that we're getting some, some more reactions, we could look for some that are getting more maybe and read them out and see if anybody has comments that they want to add verbally.
Sure. I'll see if there's anything that looks like folks are generally aligning in terms of the priority. We'll see if maybe there's anywhere that we're starting to see a bit of a change. And folks, feel free to come off mute and share your thoughts if you're comfortable. We know that there's a lot of ideas on this platform, so.
I had a comment, Bruce
Absolutely.
TV here. I'm not seeing much about reducing driving, and driving is actually the majority of the greenhouse gases. Am I missing something? Oh, I see building strategies. I see. So I'm looking just at. Okay, so maybe I am missing something. Land use and mobility strategies, is that part of the?
Right. So yes. So if you scroll down about halfway down, Bruce, all of these are organized under those various focus areas, and land use and mobility is really focused more on reducing vehicle miles traveled.
Okay.
Infrastructure is focused more on electric vehicles.
Okay, yeah, because we do need to, since 60% or the majority of our greenhouse gases come from cars, that's where we should focus more of our energy on, right? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your thoughts there, and looking forward to seeing additional thoughts in the platform here. Lola, I do see you are off mute. Is there something that you wanted to add to this discussion?
Hi, Hannah.
Yes.
This is Sandra. I was on my phone. Is there any way you can put the link back up on this chat, because I'm now on my computer.
Absolutely. Yes. John can repost that
Okay.
right now.
I'm gonna go ahead and get off of the phone.
Go back to the top. I'm assuming folks are probably working their way from the top to the bottom. So let's take a look and see how things are changing. And also project team members, feel free to chime in if there's something that piques your interest here.
And I would like to emphasize to everyone that these are broader measures, and within these measures, in the final climate action plan, there will be specific implementation actions associated with these measures. So if you're wondering why they're relatively broad, then that's the reason why.
Good point of clarification, John. Thanks for that. Anything that folks are particularly excited to see on here?
Bruce, again, I'm very excited to see there's quite a few items on reducing VMT, so I'm pretty excited about that. I think maybe if you know, as a suggestion, maybe you could break down and put a percentage on these the main categories. Like you said, this is the first one was buildings or something, and then there's infrastructure strategies, you know, so people have an idea of where you know, these gases come from, you know, roughly. That might be a good idea.
Sure, yes, we can go ahead and find that and pull it up, and then we will
Because
get back to
I noticed, for example, concrete was listed in one of the things in, I don't know how much concrete unincorporated Alameda County produces. Probably not a lot, right?
Right. Yeah, that's more kind of looking upstream at all of the products and services that people in Alameda County might be using. So
I see.
exactly, yep.
And to Hannah's question about what items you all are finding most exciting, you know, please also let us know if there's just anything that you can think of that maybe we've missed. So feel free to give us input on that too.
I have a question, or maybe like a thought or a comment. Given that we're the Tiburcio Vasquez and we do a lot of health education, I feel myself gravitating, given the time that we have, like this is like a huge survey. For the amount of time, because I'm thinking of where to do them. Now I'm thinking of the food distribution. And it's seven different categories?
Yes, for the different strategies that are organized under those 7. And it doesn't exactly align with the pie chart that I'm showing here, but it gives you a sense of at least where greenhouse gas emissions are originating within the unincorporated areas of the county.
So I'm finding myself like gravitating towards the health and resiliency strategies, given that because we're in a federally qualified health center and we do these questions are questions that we've asked before, whether it's with other partners or our current grants. Like we've spoken about some of these. So would it be, I guess, I'm trying to think how we can get some of these surveys. Well, I mean, what is the time frame that I have again? I think it's July 15th.
We're hoping to get as much feedback as we can by mid-July. That will allow us time to get that all integrated into the plan.
Okay, so that works, because I remember thinking there was like a short turnaround. And so I don't know, how important is it to you guys that we do the entire 7 categories?
I don't think it's essential. You know, I think that what people gravitate towards is what they should really provide their input on.
Because I know that it's going to take a while to get somebody, like, this is a conversation of like 20 minutes if we do the whole survey.
Sure.
So like, I'm thinking because we do health already, and we have a really good conversation model that we have around this environmental justice, that we could maybe just focus on that aspect from Tiburcio's side. Maybe if we all pick a different aspect of the survey or a different part of it.
Sure. Yeah, I think, you know, we don't want to put any kind of strict parameters around it. You know, we're really just looking for meaningful input. And if that's going to be kind of the way that folks engage, the easiest
Yeah, I'm thinking like a conversation of 5 to 7 minutes is probably the longest we're gonna be able to have with a community member. And I'm trying to think, if we already know those questions very well, the health and resiliency part of them, then why don't we just ask that in the language that we know people understand it? We've already kind of communicated this with them, just to get a real clear idea of what their response is, just to give you a better and accurate response.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion, Sandra. And we certainly don't want to deter people because of the sheer volume here, but some folks really do want to get into the weeds of all the different ways we can reduce greenhouse gas emissions. But we know that's not the kind of time that everybody can dedicate to providing feedback.
Because I know that like the community that we serve, the people that come on the walk-ups to the food distribution, if we say infrastructure strategies, you're gonna get like, yeah, I can already imagine like the response will be, oh, yeah, I guess it's important somewhat. I don't know. The community doesn't really know about these issues, but when it comes to health, they do, because they've been asked these questions a lot, especially where I'm thinking of doing these surveys.
Yeah, thanks, Sandra. Really appreciate your thoughts on this. I see, Anne, thank you for that suggestion. That could certainly be something that we add under the land use and mobility as one of an additional idea. And Anne is suggesting offering the choice to residents of considering not paving vacant lots and using them for greenhouse gas purification and clean oxygen production, which could be an example of environmental protection for us.
I'm looking through the survey on my phone to see what folks are writing, and I did notice that somebody added, and a few people have thumbs up or high priority providing this information before the meeting. So as part of preparing people to participate in this meeting, making sure that they have that everybody has access to this, so we can definitely think about ways that we can do a better job of that. Thank you for that. But that's great. Also, you're figuring out how to add stuff into the tool. So if there are additional ideas that people have, can start doing that too.
This one is jumping out to me. This is under I believe we're under land use and mobility strategies. This one, to continue to partner with transit agencies to improve reliability and convenience of existing transit services through increased frequency, expanded service areas, extended service hours, and better facilities. This actually seems to have the widest array of folks in terms of the prioritization of this. I'm curious if anyone wants to provide their opinions on kind of what they selected in terms of priority and why. Anything else jumping out to folks? I know Bruce has shown his excitement around the VMT reduction ideas. Anything else jumping out to folks?
I see a pretty good cluster of high priority around one of the earlier measures to connect to external programs that provide low-cost financing and encourage energy efficiency investments for existing residential buildings. It's a observation.
Is there anyone who hasn't been able to access the platform that needs any support? We also welcome you to come back and visit this site over the next month as more folks hopefully start adding their opinions, and potentially you can provide pros and cons. And as the platform gets more usage, you'll see that you can respond to each other and support different considerations that folks have added to the platform.
And you can also share the link with your friends and neighbors, and they can participate as well.
So we don't have to finish it tonight, you're saying?
No, this will be open for another month until the middle of July. July 15th is what we're aiming for right now. So hoping to get folks an introduction to this site, and we know there's a lot of ideas on here. But hopefully, we get good feedback to help us prioritize what is in the plan and what gets implemented in the near term.
Okay, that's a relief because I'm not a very fast reader, so I felt like it was a test.
No. This is just intended. If there's any terms that jump out to you that you're unfamiliar with that we can help define, we're here to do that. Make sure folks are able to access the platform. It looks like people are cruising through the list here, providing opinions, but this is available through the county's website as well.
Because I think you guys, I've already done this is it changed? Is this different now from what you did before? Because I already went through it one time.
This has been up for probably, how long, Allie, do you think this has been up? Since the beginning of the month?
I think a bit longer than that. I think it went live in May.
Okay.
around the time that we released the draft of the environmental justice element, because there is also a tab, if you'd like to comment on the draft environmental justice policies, you can do that through this platform too. So there are a few, so that might be what you saw, if you saw something different on this platform before.
I felt like it was earlier than that, so maybe it was not the community climate action plan. Maybe it was the county climate action plan or something.
It might have been the climate action plan for government operations, which is another county plan that looks at the county sort of as a business and how it runs its operations. So yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah,
And I think they use this platform, right, Carol?
Yes, so the GoCap, so the climate action plan for the internal operations and services, that was open last year in April, so just over a year ago. And it was open also for about a month. You can still, it's still archived. So if you want to see some of the results, if you hadn't had a chance right after, it is still available, I believe.
I think that's about the right timing. So I'm a little wondering about, so you're basically taking like a vote of what people think is important, which is fine, and that I can see how that might inform some of your decisions, but you should be mostly informed by where do the greenhouse gases come from. So you know, you showed the inventory, and then there's some breakdown within that, right? So it turns out 68% actually of the greenhouse gases come from driving. And so within that, you know, there's you sort of commercial driving and non-commercial driving and that type of thing. But anyway, that should guide your, you know, what we do more than this stuff. This is just good information, but this is actually, you know, if everybody votes on let's do stuff to buildings and nobody votes and let's not do anything for driving, well, that doesn't make sense because only 15% of the greenhouse gases come from, you know, buildings.
Yeah, and thanks for bringing that up, Bruce. You know, this is just one of the metrics that we're going to be looking at in terms of what should be a high priority action item for the county. And so a lot of that will be weighted with, you know, greenhouse gas reduction potential, the cost, the other potential co-benefits of that. So yes, as part of this effort, all of these individual strategies are going to be quantified so that we have a sense of how much each of these might move the needle.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Finally, I have another meeting at 7, so I'm going to have to take off. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us, Bruce.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
I think there's a question in the chat from Lola. So Lola, what you'll want to be doing, and for those who have not been able to navigate that, is the blue geometrical object here is what you would use to slide. All of the balls that are already on this are individual people who have already indicated where their priority lies. So you should be able to use a slider to indicate your overall opinion. And to be able to do that, you'll need to have logged in and created an account. So make sure that you go to the very top of the screen, sign up, enter an email address and your name if you're able. And then you can go ahead and share your thoughts, and you should see under each of these this blue icon show up so that you can go ahead and slide where your opinion of that individual measure is.
I have a question.
Sure.
When do you submit it? I don't see like a.
It saves automatically. So as soon as you release your slider, it's automatically saved.
So when we do the survey with the community, we're just gonna log them in. We're going to register them, and then it's gonna take us to this, and then we're gonna go straight to the health part, and then we're gonna slide everything the way they answer it, and then leave it.
That's it. You can close out and saved.
And then we go to a new one.
Correct. Yep. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
You may have to open like log out, or open it like an incognito window or something, so that it doesn't go to the same
That's what
login.
I'm afraid of. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so then, because we have some tablets too. So I'll take the tablet as a second, and then first I'll try on their phone, then I'll try on my phone, and then we'll have the tablet.
I like all your backup plans, Sandra. You're very well prepared.
And I'll just mention again that this is one way to interact with this material. We also, for those who live in Castro Valley or in Cherryland, we have a few different ways to interact. So there are posters up at the Castro Valley Library. You can write your ideas on sticky notes and put them in different categories. Same at the San Lorenzo Library, at the Reach Ashland Youth Center. If you know youth who participate in their programming, who want to interact with the materials, and the Cherryland Community Center are some of the different ways if you prefer to go in person to share your thoughts. And we'll collect all of those and include that in our analysis as we start to develop policies.
Any other questions from folks on navigating this platform here? All right, in just a minute, our Spanish breakout group will rejoin us. So I'm going to change my screen.
And I'm going to add one more thing, which is that for folks who live in East County, we don't have the interactive posters up in East County at this point, though if you have locations where you think we could, we would definitely be interested. But for East County folks, we will be at the meeting of the Sunol Citizens Advisory Committee on the 21st. And the meeting of the Agricultural Advisory Committee on the 27th. And those are both in person. And I think also both broadcast via Zoom. Am I right about that?
Ag Advisory Committee is hybrid, so that's either in person or on Zoom. I believe the Sunol meeting might just be in person. It's at the Sunol Glen School.
Perfect, thank you. And I will update our website with all of the upcoming information about where else you can interact with these materials.
Great. I think we have everyone back. So Allie, I'm going to pass it back to you to wrap it up.
Right, there's my mute button. Thank you, Hannah. So thank you so much for participating and navigating this tool with us. It's a new tool. So we are excited to learn about it with you. And we hope you'll continue to look and add your opinions over the next month. In the meantime, you can sign up for our email list to stay engaged and learn about coming events. And that is on our county website at the link below. And this county website also has links to a frequently asked question document and the Consider It platform if you'd like to continue to add your opinions there. So that link right there is where you can access all of that information. And we hope that you will share more about this project with your family and friends. We'd love to get more ideas and opinions and help us shape a response and a project that responds to your needs and your priorities. So thank you. And anybody else have anything to add?
Thank you for joining us on a Thursday evening and spending your time with us. We really, truly appreciate this. And please share this information as far and wide as you can so that we can create a plan that's really reflective of unincorporated Alameda County.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining.
Good night.